Thousands of people pass through the subway every single day, but none of them see them. These people living in dark tunnels are hiding the city's biggest secret. But what if this hidden world suddenly comes to light? What happened that night will shock everyone. 7:45 a.m. Union Square subway station, the heartbeat of New York City's underground transit system. The morning rush hour transforms this place into a river of humanity. Businessmen in expensive suits clutching coffee cups, students with oversized backpacks rushing to classes, tourists confused by the maze of tunnels and platforms. Everyone has somewhere to be, someone to meet, something important to accomplish. Jennifer Martinez steps off the N train, her badge reading NYC Department of Social Services swinging from her neck as she navigates through the crowd. At 34, she's seen it all in her 8 years as a social services specialist. Homelessness, addiction, mental health crises, domestic violence, they're all part of her daily routine. She processes cases, writes reports, attends meetings, and goes home to her small apartment in Queens, where she tries to forget the faces that haunt her files. This morning feels different, though. Maybe it's the crisp October air filtering down through the subway grates, or maybe it's the fact that she's been doing this job for so long that she's starting to see patterns where others see chaos. As she walks across the platform toward the downtown exit, she does what every New Yorker does. She carefully avoids eye contact with the homeless individuals scattered throughout the station. There's Marcus, the Vietnam veteran who sits near the Metro car machines, his cardboard sign reading, "Homeless vet, anything helps." Jennifer has seen him here for 3 years. There's Linda, the middle-aged woman with the shopping cart full of bottles and cans, who always stations herself by the Starbucks kiosk. And there's the group of younger men who huddle near the emergency exit, sharing cigarettes and telling stories that make them laugh despite their circumstances. Jennifer has trained herself not to see them as individuals. It's a survival mechanism in social services. If you try to save everyone, you'll destroy yourself. She focuses on her caseload, her official responsibilities, the people whose names appear on her computer screen each morning. But today, as she's walking past the usual spots, something catches her peripheral vision. Near the far end of the platform, where the fluorescent lights flicker and cast eerie shadows, there's an elderly man doing something unusual. He's not begging, not sleeping, not staring into space like so many of the others. He's drawing. Jennifer slows her pace. The man appears to be in his late 60s, with silver hair that might have been neatly combed once upon a time, and clothes that suggest he wasn't always homeless. He's sitting cross-legged on a piece of cardboard, hunched over what looks like architectural drawings spread across his lap. In his weathered hands, he holds a pencil. Not a broken crayon or marker, but an actual drafting pencil, and he's sketching with the precision of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Curiosity gets the better of her professional detachment. Jennifer finds herself walking closer, pretending to check her phone while stealing glances at his work. What she sees stops her in her tracks. The man is drawing a detailed schematic of the Union Square subway station. Not a rough sketch or an amateur doodle, but a professional-grade architectural plan complete with measurements, structural details, and notations written in precise handwriting. Every pillar, every staircase, every tunnel entrance is rendered with incredible accuracy. It's the kind of drawing that would hang in a city planning office or an engineering firm. "Excuse me," Jennifer finds herself saying before she can stop herself. "Are you an architect?" The man looks up, and Jennifer is struck by his eyes. They're clear, intelligent, and completely at odds with his circumstances. When he smiles, she can see that he once had excellent dental care. "Robert Wilson," he says, extending a hand that's dirty but steady. "And you're Jennifer Martinez, caseworker number 4782, hired in September 2019 under the Emergency Expansion Program following the homeless crisis budget allocation." Jennifer's blood runs cold. "How do you know that?" Robert's smile becomes sad. "Because I'm the one who designed the hiring protocols for that program. I was Deputy Director of Municipal Housing Services until 2020. Before that, I spent 15 years as the Chief Urban Planning Consultant for the MTA Subway Expansion Project." The platform seems to tilt beneath Jennifer's feet. This man, this homeless man sitting on cardboard in a subway station, knows her employee ID number. He knows when she was hired. He knows details about city government that even she doesn't know. That's impossible," she stammers. "Is it?" Robert carefully rolls up his drawings and secures them with a rubber band. "Jennifer, in your 8 years of social work, how many of your clients have you actually gotten to know?" Really no. Their backgrounds, their education, their stories before they ended up in your office. Jennifer opens her mouth to answer, then closes it. The truth is uncomfortable. She processes cases. She doesn't get to know people. I worked in the building 2 blocks from here for 23 years, Robert continues. I designed the systems you use every day. The database where you input case notes? I wrote the requirements for that. The housing placement protocol? I created that. The emergency shelter network? I mapped every location. But why are you here? What happened? Robert's expression darkens. The same thing that happens to a lot of people in this city, Jennifer. Life. My wife got cancer. The insurance company found ways to deny coverage. We spent our savings, mortgaged the house, borrowed against my pension. When she died, I had nothing left. Depression hit hard. I couldn't work. Couldn't pay the bills. The city I'd served for over 2 decades didn't have a safety net strong enough to catch one of its own. Jennifer's professional training kicks in. But there are programs. Resources. You would have qualified for assistance. I designed those programs, Jennifer. I know exactly how inadequate they are. Robert stands up slowly, his movements careful and deliberate. The maximum housing assistance in this city covers about 40% of the average rent. The mental health services have waiting lists 6 months long. The job retraining programs are available to people who have stable housing, which creates a perfect catch, 22. So you ended up here. I ended up here. But Jennifer, I didn't end up alone. That evening, Jennifer sits in her cramped Queens apartment, staring at her laptop screen. She's supposed to be updating case files, but instead, she's researching Robert Wilson. And everything he told her checks out. Robert Allen Wilson, age 67. Deputy Director of Municipal Housing Services from 2015 to 2020. Before that, Chief Urban Planning Consultant for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Master's degree in Urban Planning from Columbia University, Bachelor's in Civil Engineering from NYU. Married to Patricia Wilson, deceased 2020, no children. Employment record shows he took a leave of absence in late 2020 for family medical reasons and never returned. No criminal record. No history of mental illness. No red flags that would explain how someone with his credentials ended up homeless. But the deeper Jennifer digs, the more questions arise. She finds references to reports Robert authored, but when she tries to access them through her work computer, she gets authorization denied messages. She finds mentions of city council meetings where he testified, but the transcripts are redacted or missing entirely. The next morning, Jennifer arrives at Union Square 20 minutes early, hoping to find Robert again. She needs answers. But when she reaches the spot where she met him yesterday, he's gone. In his place is a younger woman, maybe late 20s, sitting on the same piece of cardboard. She's clean, well-dressed, and typing on a laptop that looks expensive. Excuse me, Jennifer approaches carefully. There was an older man here yesterday. Robert Wilson. Do you know where he is? The young woman looks up, and Jennifer is startled by her appearance. This isn't what she expects a homeless person to look like. The woman has clear skin, professional makeup, and clothing that suggests she shops at stores Jennifer can't afford. You must be Jennifer, the woman says with a slight accent, maybe Spanish, maybe Portuguese. Robert said you might come looking for him. I'm Dr. Isabella Santos. Doctor. Emergency medicine. Well, former emergency medicine. I lost my medical license last year for treating undocumented patients without reporting them to IC. Isabella closes her laptop carefully. Robert had to move locations. NYPD swept through here around 3 a.m. Destroyed his drawings, confiscated his belongings. Standard procedure when someone stays in one place too long. Jennifer feels a surge of anger. That's his work. Those drawings, he's not hurting anyone. No, he's not. But invisible people aren't supposed to be visible, Jennifer. When homeless individuals start displaying skills or intelligence, it makes people uncomfortable. It's easier to help someone you can pity than someone you have to respect. Where is he now? Isabella studies Jennifer's face carefully. That depends. Are you here as a social worker or as a human being? What's the difference? A social worker would try to get Robert into the system. Emergency shelter, case management, housing applications that take 2 years to process. A human being might want to understand why someone with Robert's qualifications would choose to stay invisible rather than accept that help. Jennifer considers this. I want to understand. Good, because Robert wants to show you something. Something the city doesn't want you to see. Isabella stands and packs her laptop into an expensive-looking bag. But I have to warn you, Jennifer. Once you see what we're going to show you, you can't unsee it. And you can't pretend it doesn't exist anymore. What are you talking about? The real homeless crisis in New York City. Not the sanitized version they show you in your reports. The actual scope of what's happening here. Isabella starts walking toward a side entrance Jennifer has never noticed before. Tell me, in your 8 years of social work, how many homeless individuals do you think live in Manhattan? Jennifer thinks. The official count is around 3,000 for the whole borough. Official count. Based on what? Street surveys, shelter registrations, police reports. All surface-level data. What about the people who don't want to be counted? The people who've learned that being visible means being vulnerable. They're walking down a corridor Jennifer didn't know existed, past utility rooms and storage closets. Isabella seems to know exactly where she's going. Robert wasn't just a housing official, Jennifer. He was a researcher. In 2019, he conducted an unauthorized study of what he called invisible homelessness in New York City. He found that the official numbers were off by a factor of 10. 10? That would mean 30,000 people living in subway tunnels, abandoned buildings, rooftops, basements, utility corridors. Entire communities that exist parallel to the city above ground, but completely separate from it. They stop in front of a heavy metal door marked, "Authorized Personnel Only." Isabella produces a key card from her pocket. Where did you get that? Robert isn't the only city employee living down here, Jennifer. The door opens onto a maintenance stairway that descends into darkness. Isabella produces a flashlight and starts down the steps. After a moment's hesitation, Jennifer follows. In 2020, when Robert published his preliminary findings about invisible homelessness, the city buried the report, Isabella explains as they descend. Too politically sensitive. If the public knew the real scope of the crisis, there would be demands for solutions the city can't afford. So they fired him. They made his life impossible. Budget cuts eliminated his position. When he reapplied for other city jobs, his applications got lost in the system. When he applied for private sector positions, his references mysteriously became unavailable. The stairway ends at another corridor, this one lined with pipes and electrical conduits. The air smells of metal and dampness, but also something else, cooking food. After Patricia died and he lost his house, Robert had a choice, Isabella continues. He could accept placement in the official homeless system, shelters with bed bugs and violence, housing assistance that would take years to process, case workers who would treat him like a problem to be managed. Or he could disappear. He chose to disappear. He chose to use his urban planning skills to find the spaces the city forgot about. And when he did, he discovered he wasn't alone. They turn a corner, and Jennifer sees light ahead. Not fluorescent light, but warm, yellow light that suggests candles or small lamps. As they get closer, she can hear voices, not the aggressive shouts or desperate pleas she associates with homeless encampments, but normal conversation. People talking about books, sharing recipes, discussing current events. Welcome, Isabella says, to what Robert calls the Underground Railroad 2.0. They emerge into a vast space that takes Jennifer's breath away. It's clearly an abandoned subway platform. She can see the old tiles and the curved ceiling that indicates they're still within the transit system. But this platform has been transformed into something that looks like a cross between a library and a community center. There are maybe 40 people here, arranged in small groups around makeshift furniture. Some are reading, some are playing cards, some are engaged in what appears to be a book club discussion. In one corner, a woman is cutting another woman's hair. In another, a man is teaching a small group of children arithmetic using a piece of chalk on the tile wall. And supervising it all, drawing notations on a clipboard, is Robert Wilson. Jennifer. He approaches with a smile that's genuinely warm. You came. I wasn't sure you would. Robert, what is this place? This is Central Station, he says proudly. One of 7 underground communities we've established in Manhattan alone. This particular platform was abandoned in 1978 when they rerouted the N train. The city forgot about it, but we remembered. Jennifer looks around, trying to process what she's seeing. These people don't look like her mental image of the homeless. They're clean, organized, purposeful. They have conversations about literature and politics. Children are being educated. Medical care is being provided. She can see Isabella setting up what appears to be an impromptu clinic near the far wall. How many people live here? Here? About 60, though the population fluctuates. People come and go. Some get back on their feet and return to surface life. Others find their way to our other locations. We have communities in Brooklyn, Queens, even one in the Bronx. How is this possible? Don't the police know? Robert laughs. Jennifer, the NYPD has 36,000 officers responsible for patrolling 302 square miles of city. The subway system alone has 472 stations and over 240 miles of track. Most officers stick to the main platforms and the areas where they're likely to encounter tourists or commuters. They don't explore abandoned platforms or maintenance corridors. But surely someone knows. Oh, people know. The question is whether they care enough to do anything about it. Robert guides her to a quiet corner where they can talk more privately. Jennifer, I want to introduce you to some people. But first, I need you to understand something important. What? Everyone here made a choice. We're not here because we failed to navigate the system. We're here because we found something better than the system. Before Jennifer can respond, a man approaches them. He's tall, probably in his 50s, with graying hair and the kind of posture that suggests military training. Jennifer, this is Colonel Marcus Thompson, Robert says. Retired Army Corps of Engineers. Marcus, this is the social worker I told you about. Marcus extends his hand. Ms. Martinez. Robert says you're one of the good ones. You're military? 28 years. 3 tours in Afghanistan, 2 in Iraq. Came home in 2018 with PTSD and a medical discharge. The VA promised treatment, housing assistance, job placement. I spent 2 years fighting bureaucracy and sleeping in my car before I found this place. But surely, the VA has programs. The VA has waiting lists, Marcus says with a slight edge to his voice. When you're having flashbacks and panic attacks, a 6-month wait for psychiatric care might as well be a death sentence. Down here, we have 3 other veterans, 2 of whom have medical training. We have quiet spaces where you can work through episodes. We have purpose. Purpose. Marcus is our logistics coordinator, Robert explains. He manages supply lines, coordinates with surface contacts, ensures our security. His military experience translates perfectly to managing an underground community. Jennifer is struggling to reconcile what she's seeing with everything she thought she knew about homelessness. But why not work within the system? Why not try to change things from the inside? Robert and Marcus exchange a look. Jennifer, Robert says gently, you've been working within the system for 8 years. How much have you changed? The question hits like a physical blow. Jennifer thinks about her caseload, her success rate, the number of people she's actually helped transition from homelessness to stable housing. The numbers are depressingly small. The system isn't designed to end homelessness, Marcus adds. It's designed to manage homelessness. There's a difference. Ending homelessness would require addressing root causes, affordable housing, living wages, accessible health care, mental health services. Managing homelessness just requires keeping it contained and out of sight. Down here, Robert says, we've actually ended homelessness. For ourselves and for anyone who finds their way to us. We've created sustainable communities with education, health care, governance, economic systems. We've done what the city says is impossible. How? By recognizing that the people society discards often have the exact skills society needs. Isabella provides medical care. Marcus handles logistics and security. We have teachers, engineers, accountants, social workers, chefs, mechanics. The only difference between us and the people living in expensive apartments upstairs is that we've been priced out of the official economy. Jennifer looks around the platform again, seeing it with new eyes. This isn't a shelter or a temporary solution. It's a functioning community. People have assigned roles, shared responsibilities, collective decision-making. Children are being educated to standards that probably exceed many public schools. Medical care is being provided by trained professionals. Security is maintained by people with law enforcement and military experience. Robert, she says slowly, if this is all true, if you've created sustainable communities that actually work, why keep it secret? Why not show the world what you've accomplished? Robert's expression becomes serious. Because the moment we become visible, Jennifer, we become vulnerable. The city will shut us down, force us into the official system, destroy everything we've built. They'll do it in the name of public safety or zoning regulations or health codes. But the real reason will be that we represent an alternative to the way things are supposed to work. You're talking about a conspiracy. I'm talking about institutional inertia, Robert corrects. The homeless services industry in New York City is worth billions of dollars annually. There are thousands of jobs, dozens of agencies, entire bureaucracies built around managing the homeless crisis. If homelessness actually ended, all of those people would be out of work. Marcus nods. It's not personal, Ms. Martinez. It's just economics. The system needs the problem to exist in order to justify the system. Before Jennifer can respond, there's a commotion from the entrance they came through. Someone is running down the corridor shouting, "Police sweep! Police sweep! Everyone out! They are raiding the tunnels!" Panic erupts through Central Station. People grab essential belongings, help children and elderly community members, begin evacuating through exits Jennifer didn't know existed. But there's no chaos, no pushing or screaming. This is clearly a rehearsed procedure. "Jennifer." Robert grabs her arm. "You need to leave. Now, if they find you here." "I'm not leaving." "Jennifer, you don't understand. If you're caught in an unauthorized area during a police sweep, you could lose your job. Your city employment, your security clearance, everything." "Robert, these people, this community, someone needs to document what's happening here." "No one will believe you. And even if they did, it won't matter." But Jennifer is already pulling out her phone. "Maybe not, but I have to try." The sound of boots on metal stairs echoes through the tunnel. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Over a bullhorn, someone shouts, "NYPD. This area is off limits. Anyone found in unauthorized subway areas will be arrested." Most of the community has already vanished through hidden exits, but a few people remain behind, including Robert, Marcus, and Isabella. "Why aren't you leaving?" Jennifer asks. "Someone has to stay," Marcus says grimly. When they clear out a space like this, they usually destroy everything they can't confiscate. Books, artwork, medical supplies, personal belongings. If we're here, they have to process us instead of just demolishing the place. "They'll arrest you. They'll cite us for trespassing and release us in 24 hours, Robert explains. "It's happened before. The important thing is preserving what we've built here." The police arrive in force, 12 officers in tactical gear, led by a sergeant who clearly isn't happy about being in the tunnels. "All right, everyone out," the sergeant barks. "This is MTA property. You're trespassing." "Sergeant," Robert steps forward calmly, "I'm Robert Wilson, former Deputy Director of Municipal Housing Services. These individuals are residents of an established community operating in unused city infrastructure. We're not trespassing, we're utilizing abandoned resources." The sergeant looks confused. This clearly isn't the response he expected from a homeless person. "I don't care if you're the mayor," he says after a moment. "You can't live in the subway. Let's go." "Sergeant, wait." Jennifer steps forward, her badge visible. "I'm Jennifer Martinez, Department of Social Services. These people have created a functioning community here. They have education, healthcare, governance systems. Before you dismantle it, shouldn't someone document what they've accomplished?" "Ma'am, I don't know what you think you're seeing here, but this is a health and safety violation. These people need to be in proper shelters." "The proper shelters are full," Isabella interjects. "I'm Dr. Isabella Santos. I provide medical care for this community. The people here are healthier, better fed, and more secure than they would be in the official shelter system." The sergeant is clearly out of his depth. His radio crackles. "Sergeant Martinez, what's your status down there?" Jennifer realizes this is her moment. She's been filming everything on her phone, but she needs more. She needs someone with real influence to see what's happening. "Sergeant, before you proceed, I need to make a phone call." She's already dialing as she speaks. "Ma'am, you can make your calls from the station." "David, it's Jennifer Martinez." "Yes, I know it's late." "David, I need you to get down to Union Square subway station right now. Bring your camera crew. I'm about to show you the biggest story of your career." David Park is an investigative journalist for Channel 7 News who Jennifer met during a housing crisis story last year. He owes her a favor, and she's calling it in. "Jennifer, what the hell are you doing?" Robert whispers. "What you should have done 2 years ago," she whispers back. "Making this visible." 20 minutes later, David arrives with a camera operator and a field producer. Jennifer knows she's taking an enormous risk. Involving the media could destroy her career and put all of these people in danger. But she also knows that secrecy has allowed the problem to persist. "This better be good, Martinez," David says as he sets up his equipment. "You're talking about people living in subway tunnels." "I'm talking about people who solve homelessness," Jennifer says. and the city is about to destroy their solution. For the next hour, with police standing by uneasily, David interviews Robert, Marcus, and Isabella. He films the community's educational programs, their medical facilities, their governance structures. He documents what Jennifer now realizes is one of the most successful anti-poverty initiatives in New York City, run entirely by people the city has written off as failures. The story airs 3 days later. Underground Success: How NYC's homeless are solving their own crisis becomes the most watched local news segment of the year. Within a week, it's picked up by national outlets. Within a month, urban planning experts from around the world are requesting access to study Robert's communities. The political response is swift and predictable. The mayor announces an investigation into unauthorized use of city infrastructure. The MTA issues statements about public safety. Social services agencies defend their existing programs. But something else happens too. Donations pour in from viewers who want to support the communities. Volunteer professionals offer their services. Other cities request consultations on replicating the model. Jennifer loses her job with the Department of Social Services. The official reason is unauthorized disclosure of confidential information, but everyone knows the real reason. She violated the fundamental rule of bureaucracy: don't make your superiors look incompetent. But she also gets something better. Robert, Marcus, Isabella, and the network of underground communities offer her a position as their liaison with the surface world. Her job is to help other cities develop their own invisible homeless networks while protecting existing communities from government interference. 6 months later, Jennifer stands in what used to be Central Station. It's been transformed again, this time into an official transitional community center funded by a combination of private donations and grudging city support. About half of the original residents have moved into permanent housing. The other half have chosen to stay and help newcomers navigate their own transitions. Robert has been hired as a consultant by the city's housing department. His job is to identify other abandoned spaces that could be converted into community-based solutions. Marcus runs a job training program for veterans. Isabella operates a clinic that serves both underground and surface populations. You know what the irony is? Robert says as they watch a group of formerly homeless individuals teaching computer skills to recently arrived migrants. We spent years being invisible because we thought visibility meant vulnerability. But turned out that invisibility was the real vulnerability. How so? When you're invisible, you can't access resources, build coalitions, or create change. When you're visible, you have power. He gestures around the space. This isn't perfect. It's still not enough. But it's a start. Jennifer nods. Through the window, she can see the subway platform where commuters hurry past, focused on their phones and their destinations. Most of them still don't see the people around them. But some do. And that's made all the difference. The next phase, Isabella joins them, is replication. We have inquiries from Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles. Cities that want to develop their own networks. What about the people who prefer to stay underground? Jennifer asks. That's their choice, Marcus says. Not everyone wants to be visible. But now they have options. As they talk, Jennifer's phone buzzes with a text message. New community, identified in SF, 200+ people. Requesting assistance. When can you visit? She looks at Robert, Isabella, and Marcus, 3 people whose society had written off as failures, who are now leading one of the most innovative social programs in the country. Ready for another trip? She asks. Always, Robert grins. The work is never done. Jennifer types back, on our way. Because she's learned something important in the past year. The people society makes invisible are often the ones with the clearest vision of how to fix society's problems. You just have to be willing to see them. And once you start seeing invisible people, you realize they were never the problem. They were always the solution. This story is about the invisible people who pass by us every day. Maybe you'll start seeing them too.